On the Talkback Show, on the radio, or whatever audiovisual device you choose to use. Welcome to the GBC podcast, where we talk about the Packers and our hometown of Green Bay. We are the official podcast of the Lot 1 tailgate party at Lambeau Field every home game. This is episode 77, created on May 15th, 2024. I'm John. I'm in Appleton, Wisconsin. Along with me, Jeff in Minnesota, and Neil out on the East Coast. Say hello, gentlemen, and tell us what you're drinking.
Hello, everyone. I am having a very Jeff-oriented beverage today. I'm having the Other Half Brewing Company Deep Orbit Beaver Tails Imperial Stout.
Okay, good evening, gentlemen. I'm going with Dual Citizen Brewery Cereal Money Breakfast Stout.
All right. My mom went to Ireland, and all I got was a bottle of Jameson Creston. You can find us on YouTube and Twitter at Green Bay Chat and Facebook at the GBC Podcast, Green Bay Chat, and just the audio available on Apple Podcast, as well as Spotify by searching for Green Bay Chat. What's the topic this time around? It is the day of the NFL schedule release, so we are talking about the 2024 Green Bay Packers schedule. If you want to hear about any other teams in the NFL, too bad. This is just Packer talk today. We have got 17 games over 18 weeks to take a look at. We might even talk about the preseason, but the big announcement coming for you today, where the GBC podcast goes on the road in the 2024 season. With that said, gentlemen, let's take a look at that schedule. First and foremost, Brazil. Neil, why aren't we going to Sao Paulo?
Because nobody wants to go to South Philly, and fuck South Philly, fuck Philadelphia, and any place else is better than Philadelphia. I know Philadelphia is essentially a home game for me to go to, but thank God we're not having to deal with the fucking Eagles fans. Go Brazil.
It does make for an interesting start to the season, and I think that it was a foregone conclusion that Green Bay was going to Brazil to open the season with the Eagles. It's a Friday night game, and on top of that, but I think it was a foregone conclusion that week 2 would be a home game then as well, which is pretty nice, takes it easy. I think we think back 2 years now to that London trip, and then coming back and facing the Jets. The jet lag killed them there, correct?
That was
brutal. Well, there's a lot of things that killed him. The broken thumb, but overall, yeah, there was no bye after that, and that really did seem to negatively affect. But yeah, they go, go down to Brazil, and come back and have a home game, and I think that's a heck of a way to start the season.
I will say there is one big difference between going to Europe versus going to South America. And first of all, the flight to South America is actually a longer flight than going to Europe. But the difference is that you're talking about essentially a similar number of time zone changes to flying within the United States. And from a jet lag perspective, that makes a difference. Even though it's going to be a 10, 11-hour flight down to Brazil versus a 6 or 7-hour flight to London, not having that 6-hour difference in time actually mentally makes a difference as far as your ability to recover, and your recovery from jet lag is just much easier staying within the same hemisphere.
With that extra travel, I would be curious to see when they're actually going to go down. First of all, it's a Friday game. The other part of that is there is no preseason game the weekend before that. There's nothing going on Labor Day weekend. The last preseason game is the last weekend in August. So you've got a free weekend in between. You've got probably some extra days for travel to get over that. But here's the interesting part. For us, it's a 7:15 game. That's 9:15 local time. That's a late game to play.
John, did you realize that on the East Coast, we play games at that time essentially all the time?
Not kicking off at 9 o'clock.
John, that is when Monday Night Football used to start on the East Coast. So anyway, I would say the other big thing, though, is that we have 8 road games, but one of the 8 road games is a neutral game. And from a scheduling perspective, to A, not have to play in Philadelphia, but B, for one of our road games against a competitive team for the NFC playoffs, to not have that a road game, to make that essentially a neutral game, is an advantage in our schedule, in addition to the fact that we just have 9 home games this year.
The other thing interesting about that, Neil, is Friday night is no longer sacrosanct. I mean, the college football started taking over Friday nights. That was always set aside for high school, Friday night lights. And now we've got an NFL game on a Friday night as well. Again, being later for us. Maybe that doesn't upset too many people, but still, it seems odd to have that Friday night game.
John, are you going to be announcing on that Friday night?
Oh, shit. You never know, Neil. We'll have to wait and see when that schedule comes out, too.
And I thought I read where this is going to be broadcast on Netflix.
That I was going to mention that. I'm not worried about games being on Netflix or Amazon or any other app because I'm in the home market. I don't care, Jeff.
All right. But this will be, I think, the first NFL game ever on Netflix. So kind of an interesting, again, most people or a lot of people have Netflix. I don't think it's not the Peacock situation, I don't think, because there are going to be additional games on Netflix. I think the Christmas games are on Netflix as well. That's fine. I have Netflix. I don't care. I'll be watching the game regardless. But that Friday night game, everybody's going to be watching. So you got the Thursday night kickoff with the Super Bowl champions, and the next night is the Packer game. I mean, how cool is that? It's again an opportunity. It's an international game, but it's the primetime Friday night game, the first, NFL fall weekend. And I think that's fantastic. Huge, huge exposure.
You're also very happy that you're going to have fewer games on top of watching it via my cooler this year.
That is true. And I've actually already mapped out the three potential cooler games, Neil. But I seriously have already done that. But and actually there would be four. But sneak preview, one of them we will be attending.
Yeah, Jeff, it's early fall, September for us. But Neil, isn't it going to be a different time of the season in Sao Paulo as well? Are they south of the equator? Is it how temperate will it be in September in Brazil?
John, your Green Bay East education has served you well. Yes, indeed. It will be spring in South America. And, it's the end of winter. So spring weather could be, I mean, they're in the tropics. So I have a feeling it's going to be nice and warm no matter what. But yes, it's a late winter, early spring game in South America.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at the geography of it, I feel almost like it's going to be a good rainy night too. You never know. But it could have that. Yeah, you love a rainy night. It could be that. We just don't know. It's, I'm not going to check the 6-month forecast, Neil. 6 days, maybe 6 months. I think I'm going to pass on that. In Brazil, yes. But the Packers will have, like I said, extra time leading up to that game. And then the nice thing about coming back from that is they get a home game. So week 2, it is the home opener against the Indianapolis Colts, and it is a noon matchup. Lots of noon Sunday matchups on this schedule. In fact, that's going to be the first of 10 Sunday games in a row. Throw the bye week in there. So 10 Sundays over 11 weeks. Pretty exciting stuff, with 7 of those 10 games, home and away, being noon games. So again, we're old enough to remember when they were all noon Sunday games. But this one, the season opener now, Neil, September 15th, Colts in Green Bay. Are you going to be there?
I think I am going to be there.
Right.
It's the home opener is a magical day, and I think that it's going to be a day that you want to be in Lambeau Field. So that is my intention as of right now. I obviously have mapped out all of my travels back to Green Bay, or at least potential travels, and the home opener is one of those games that I definitely want to be back for.
Definitely reading online tonight, primarily through Twitter, the number of people that are excited about the home opener. Like, it doesn't matter when it is, we're going to the home opener. Okay, that's great. That's the Colts game. But I think we'll talk about this in a bit as well. A lot of people, I think, are excited about the Thanksgiving game in Green Bay as well. We'll get there. But a noon matchup, always fun for tailgating. That means that the parking lot opens up at 8 a.m. It's always nice to have the PBRs rolling at sunrise.
That's a great line, John.
I left you speechless. Yeah.
The PBR's rolling at sunrise.
Jeff, you know what he really means? He means none of this shit. Okay.
I know. Yeah. Well, the point of the matter is that you can't drink a lot of those. the dark stuff. Yeah, the PBRs, keep them rolling. Absolutely.
And as mentioned, we are the official podcast of the Lot 1 Tailgate Party. The Lot 1 Tailgate will be there every home game. Doesn't matter, preseason, regular season, postseason. Doesn't matter if it's the Sunday noon game, Sunday night game, Monday night game, all of the home games. You can find the Lot 1 tailgate party where? Well, appropriately in Lot 1. So we'll definitely talk about that this season and be sharing some oh Jesus Christ. We'll be
I'm not editing that out, John, okay?
We'll be sharing some Shotsky pictures with everybody as well, as we always do, because that's the thing to do at Lot 1. I'm okay if you keep it in there, Neil. We're not going to do predictions this time around. We're just talking about the schedule and how fun it is.
John, the prediction is 20-0, though, right? We're all in complete consensus on this.
Absolutely. We are winning every game. Yeah. The other thing that's kind of fun about this is it's nearly a home and away schedule all the way through. There's only 2 back-to-back road games that we're going to look at. The 2 back-to-back home games coming up here in a bit are a bit more interesting. Let's take a look at week 3 now. The Packers will then travel to Nashville to face the Tennessee Titans. Now, the Titans were just in town a couple of years ago for that Thursday night matchup. If you remember that quick turnaround,
I was there.
Cowboys Titans matchup. Green Bay did not fare well in that game after a huge win over the Cowboys that week, but everyone was riding high for that Thursday night home game. Titans came away victorious, so now we get to go to Nashville for a noon game, September 22nd, and hopefully return the favor.
Nashville's a boring football team, so it's, seems like a good team to play in week 3. There's probably going to be some elements of interest, and Nashville's a great place to visit. And I don't know, it should be. It's a week. It's a game. It's one of our AFC games.
A boring team in an exciting town, right?
That's right.
Back-to-back AFC South opponents as well between the Colts and the Titans. After that, it is back to Green Bay, September 29th, another noon matchup. This will be the second home game of the year. That means it is a gold package game, and it brings into town, Jeff, the Minnesota Vikings. Now, this will be interesting. It's a Sunday game, but it's a gold package game. What do you think is going to happen with those tickets? Are the Vikings fans going to try to infiltrate Green Bay this year?
Boy, I tell you, based on Twitter, there's a lot of folks that are real thrilled that this is a gold package game.
Yeah, there are a lot of folks who don't actually have season tickets who aren't very thrilled. It's like if you don't have skin in the game, I don't really care what your opinion is on people from other teams going to the game. I think that the issue with the Detroit Lions game last year was A, the Detroit Lions were ascendant, and B, it was a primetime evening game, which is more difficult for people to go to from parts of the state that are not Green Bay and the Fox Valley. Because it's a Sunday noon game, I think that it's going to have superb Packers attendance. I think the gold package fans are going to come out in full force. And even if they don't, it's not an indictment on the gold package. It's just a statement of fact that it is exciting for people to go to Packers games. Minnesota is 4 hours away. They have excitement about their team being rid of Kirk Cousins as their anchor of a quarterback. They've got a young quarterback. I think Vikings fans are not expecting a lot probably this year, although they're Vikings fans, so who knows? But in the end, for that game last year against the Lions, the reason why the Lions fans were loud at the end is because the Packers didn't play well. The Packers play well. It doesn't matter how many fans of the opposing team are there. It's going to be the Packers fans who are going to win. I just have no interest in people who are complaining about visiting fans coming to Lambeau. They're all shut up if you win. So just win.
That's true. And traditionally, like you said, Minnesota is 4 hours away. There are Vikings fans that travel, but, I was thinking to what you said, with the Lions being there, it was a primetime game. It really meant something. The Lions, were having success they hadn't had in years. They were a ascending team. While the Vikings potentially, or for this game, are neither, right? This is not a primetime game. Who knows what this team is going to be next year? There'll be some purple there, of course. But like I said, it's a noon game again in early fall at Lambeau. I mean, what's not to like?
And to go to Neil's point too, to have, disdain for, first of all, if you're a season ticket holder and you're selling your ticket, get your money, right? To have disdain for or try to control who you're going to sell to, it isn't going to work, because when we talk about going to road games and Packer fans like to travel well, how are you going to travel if every team implemented a don't sell your ticket to an opposing team fan? It just doesn't work that way. So it just comes down to, like Neil said, if the Packers play better. If they are in the lead, if they win the game, the Packer fans will take over the crowd, and
when
that's
they
all that
win the
needs to
game,
happen.
John, when they win the game.
When they win the game. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jeff. The other thing that's interesting, and we'll note this now, is there are 3 gold package regular season games, and the 3 opponents are the Vikings, the Lions, and the Bears.
Oh my.
Thank you. I didn't even have to tell you guys to do it.
Bunch of trade seals. Jeez.
Right. Yes, you are. That's why you are terrific to do the show together with. Thank you. We've known each other long enough that was coming. Keep all that in, Neil. All right. Do you think, and I like finding conspiracy theories. I like picking them apart, but do you think that the Packers had a hand in this? Did they say, give us the NFC North for these 3 gold games? Are they trying to generate some type of ticket interest in this, or trying to spur something in the stereotype of the gold package fans, or is it just the luck of the draw?
John, go back to your internet groups that are all about conspiracies, because that has nothing to do with, I mean, the final game clearly was chosen as, yes, the Packers are going to have their last games against division rivals. And if it happens to be that there are 9 home games and the 9th is going to the gold package, that's what's going to happen. But that's the way the NFL builds its schedule. It has nothing to do with your tinfoil hats, John.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. So nothing else to read into that. It just happened to be the luck of the draw that those are the 3 gold package games. Now in week 5, a team that is probably thankful that they are not coming to Green Bay in cold weather in November or December, it is the Los Angeles Rams. It is Sunday, October 6th. Now it's a late game, a 3:25 game, but that stadium in Los Angeles, interesting now, it's going to be October, that stadium covered but open.
It's Los Angeles. It's
right.
It'll be fun. It's a fabulous new multi-billion-dollar stadium. The Rams hope to have a good season. I think this is going to be a very intriguing game. I mean, there's a reason why obviously it was scheduled for the late afternoon national game. I think it's going to be intriguing.
It's scheduled for the late afternoon because it's in the West Coast. They don't play 12 o'clock games on the West Coast, Jeff.
Well, but it still has appeal, right? It's still going to be a broader audience than the noon audience. So, a little more of a marquee matchup here. These are 2 teams that could meet in the playoffs down the road.
Back home then, week 6, the Arizona Cardinals coming to Green Bay on Sunday, October 13th, another Sunday noon matchup. It is a week 3 green package game, and it is the Arizona Cardinals, kind of just a nondescript matchup there as well. But again, back-to-back NFC West teams, one in Los Angeles, one in Green Bay.
It's a game. And it's a game in October. And quite frankly, games in October at Lambeau are the best games of the entire season from a weather perspective. It's just always pleasant to go to a game in October.
And speaking of October games, Neil, not only is it a nice October game, but we're going to get back-to-back October home games, both of them green package games, as the following Sunday, October 20th, another noon matchup. The Houston Texans coming into town. Now, I think the big question has been, why is this a noon Sunday matchup with the 2 young up-and-coming quarterbacks, 2 teams on the rise? They made the playoffs last year. They're playoff contenders this year. Why is this a Sunday noon matchup?
I don't know. And I think it's before the flex scheduling as well. So we're, kind of stuck with the noon game. To Neil's point, I mean, it hopefully will be an idyllic fall afternoon at Lambeau. I think this, of all the games on the schedule, this one is intriguing. I'm glad we're at home for this game. I think that will obviously lend a certain advantage, but you know what? It's back-to-back games in the middle of October. I mean, I don't recall, too many other seasons kind of unfolding like this, right? You kind of got, home and away, and then boom, right in the middle of October. So from a fan perspective, to attend the games, this is wonderful.
And just from a perspective of measuring where this Packers team is and where Jordan Love is compared to other young quarterbacks, we go from CJ Stroud in week 7 at Lambeau to Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville in week 8. And wow, I mean, these are quarterbacks that could be competing against each other for years. And I am very much looking forward to seeing this level of young quarterback play. This is something that is just a pure, as a love of football component, this is going to be fun.
And again, it brings a back-to-back AFC South matchup. Again, a Sunday noon game in Jacksonville, a lovely town, probably to visit in October as well.
I don't know that that's true. Have you ever read Bill Simmons' description of the Super Bowl in Jacksonville? That was a complete disaster as far as all
Start over, Neil.
accounting
You're
is
correct.
concerned.
Start over. The correct way to start that is Jacksonville is never lovely to visit. Something. Try that and then go into Bill Simmons. Go.
I'm going to leave it as it is. I think it was fine the way I said it. So fuck off.
So what you're saying, Neil, is Jacksonville is never lovely to visit.
I do not have any encouragement about visiting North Florida ever. I guess maybe if you're going to see the Florida Gators or something like that, but North Florida is the South, is the deep South in reality. And I do not have any real desire to go there.
All right. And so a string of 8 Sunday games in a row comes to a head in week 9 as the Detroit Lions come to town. So week 9 will be, as we mentioned, a gold package game. It is the Lions on a gold package game again. This one being a later afternoon game, the 3:25 matchup. But again, a good matchup, Packers-Lions, Lambeau Field.
The Lions have unfortunately had some success at Lambeau Field as of late.
Yeah.
You know what? This is going to be really kind of, with the bye week coming up, I mean, this is going to be a huge test because, we haven't picked, but, sort of how the schedule looks, the Packers should have a winning record going into this. This could easily be for the division lead, and the fact that it's in Green Bay in late fall, it's going to be one heck of a game.
And then, as you mentioned, Jeff, the bye week, week 10 bye week. I like this midseason bye week. I think that right smack dab in the middle feels perfect to me. A nice, snug mid-November. Let's take some time off.
After a nice balance of home and away, for the most part, charge up. And when other, I think they're going to need it. And certainly between division rivals here as well. That's sort of nice as well. So an extra week to prepare for the Bears.
Right. It immediately becomes Bears week then. And as you said, maybe the first half of the schedule, relatively benign Sunday games, a lot of Sunday noon games. It's going to get crazy here in the second half of the season. Yeah. But now, we'll start it right off. It's November 17th, week 11, and it is a noon game in Chicago, still in Soldier Field. We don't know what the status of their stadium is going to be, but it is the Packers and the Bears nonetheless.
Will the domination of the Packers against the Bears continue? I certainly hope so. I'm a little disappointed that they don't play the Bears a little bit earlier, but at this point, Caleb Williams may be injured based on the offensive line. Who knows? Maybe they're catching their stride, but huge rivalry game here, and I think the Packers really want to, coming off that bye week and given the opportunity to plan a little bit more, I think the Packers are going to be really tough in this game and continue, hopefully, their mastery over the Bears.
I want to take the other direction on Caleb Williams, though, in that obviously when he starts out, he's going to be going through growing pains, but he won't have any film on him at the beginning. And by the time we're at week 11, there's going to be film on Caleb Williams, and we're going to know his tendencies. And rookies are the worst as far as just playing to their tendencies. And I think this is an opportunity for our defense to really feast on a quarterback who is trying to figure out who he is, but yet doesn't have the experience in order to know how to change things on the fly in a way that is going to be successful. Right. I think this is a great time to meet the Bears.
Yeah, that's a great point, Neil. And he'll be trying really hard. And like I said, there will be, weeks and weeks of film.
Try really, really hard. That's really what I'm hoping for.
A Monsters of the Midway mid-season matchup, and that will, at that game, we'll have seen all the NFC North opponents one time through. We get them all again. Those will be coming up. Packers come back home in week 12. This is where the interesting stretch starts, Neil, because it's a late deer season this year. It's a late Thanksgiving, but it is opening weekend of deer hunting, Sunday, November 24th. The San Francisco 49ers in Green Bay for a 3:25 matchup. A good deer hunter is going to get up at sunrise, go do a little bit of hunting and still make it to Lambeau Field on time for kickoff, right?
John, you've perfectly described my plan for that day. Yes, there will be morning sitting and then going and sitting and drinking with my friends and then watching the Packers. This is a tough stretch of games because San Francisco has certainly had our number. And this is, well, I mean, this is where the learning is going to occur. If you're going to make that next step as a team, move yourself towards a team that is going to be thinking about the Super Bowl, this is where you're going to have your opportunities. And, even if they don't succeed, this is a case where we've got to learn who our opponents are. We've got to figure out how to play them better, because what really matters is when we play them likely in the playoffs.
Agreed, Neil. Plus, again, we're at home for this one. And I think that based on what happened in the playoffs, the players that were in that game certainly don't want to lose back-to-back to San Francisco. So I think this is going to be not a must-win game, but there's going to be an extra chip to really shine here and say, all right, that was, what happened in the playoffs, that we don't want that to happen again. It starts a really wacky but brutal stretch of games, and all big primetime games and coming up. I mean, because all eyes are going to be on this game, or certainly if you're in the NFC. And then, fortunately, I should say, back-to-back home games, but just not a week apart.
And this happened last year. We talked about it extensively last year. There were 2 times in the season where Green Bay did the Sunday-Thursday turnaround, one of them with Thanksgiving last year in Detroit. Interestingly enough, this year it's Thanksgiving again. So Sunday against the Niners, and then they kick off week 13 against the Miami Dolphins on Thanksgiving Day, but it's the nighttime matchup, 7:20 kickoff, Thursday night football, Lambeau Field. There's going to be a lot of people, I think, clamoring to go to this game. Tryptophan be damned. I'm staying awake all night for it, and I'm going to the Packer game. And I think this is going to be a huge celebration. Last time that the Packers hosted a Thanksgiving game, 2015 against the Chicago Bears. Neil, that one didn't turn out so well, though, did it?
No, I don't really want to remember that. It was supposed to be a celebration of Brett Favre, and it ended up being the Packers losing to the Bears last time the Packers lost to the Bears. But I feel a lot better about this game against Miami, despite the fact that I think Miami is a really good team. It's a team that under normal circumstances, I would be a little bit afraid of. But Thursday night at the end of November, that game is probably going to be fairly cold, and I don't think it's very amenable to a Miami Dolphins team.
Or their fans traveling up on Thanksgiving to Green Bay. Not going to see probably a lot of Dolphin fans. And this is, even though obviously they're in the AFC, this is, I think, going to be a really huge game for both teams as well. The national game, the nightcap game, right? So it's a full day of football. This is the nightcap game. This is the marquee game, I think. And, hopefully it'll be cold, not as cold as when Miami went to Kansas City for the playoff game. Not that cold. Hopefully not anyway, just for everybody's sake. But in terms of just, weather, I mean, might be snowy as well. It might get a nice, Thanksgiving snow. Better up here than down there.
Well, and it's a holiday trade-off because Green Bay was in Miami on Christmas Day recently, and now the Dolphins coming to Green Bay on Thanksgiving Day. Mentioned also 2015 when the Packers and the Bears played on Thanksgiving Day in Green Bay at Lambeau Field. Yes, the Bears won, but what's the interesting fact about that? That is the last time the Chicago Bears won in Lambeau Field since 2015. Here's another one for you, trivia-wise. So this is actually going to be the 3rd time that the Green Bay Packers have hosted a Thanksgiving Day game. Jeff, I know you did a Thanksgiving history report at one time, but do you guys remember the location of that other game?
It was 1919, 1920, 21, something like that. It was something like over 100 years ago.
Just barely. November 29th, 1923 against the Hammond Pros. Neil, at our old stomping ground at Old City Stadium. The original City Stadium is where that game was held. And the Packers won that game 19-0. So the Packers are 1-1 in hosting Thanksgiving Day games.
Let's make it 2-1 this year.
But talking about those Detroit Lions and talking about Thanksgiving, interestingly enough, Detroit will have their usual Thanksgiving Day game. But then the following Thursday in Detroit, Thursday, December 5th, the Packers at the Lions. I don't remember ever having back-to-back Thursday games. It did happen last year. The Cowboys and the Seahawks played the week after Thanksgiving, but I don't remember Green Bay ever having back-to-back Thursday games. It'll be the third Thursday matchup in 2 seasons, 2 last year and now the one this year against the Detroit Lions. Again, interesting though, back-to-back on Thursdays.
That's right. And this is an interesting game. It's in Detroit. It's almost on the anniversary of the Rodgers to Rodgers Motown miracle. This will be interesting. Hopefully, the Packers won't need a Hail Mary, a miracle, to win this game. This is going to be another challenging game, and I would guess that the Thursday night folks, because some of these Thursday night games historically have sucked, they've been awful. This is hopefully not going to be one of those games. Competitive, it means something in the standings, and yeah, hopefully we don't need a miracle to win this one.
A Thursday game when both teams played the prior Thursday is going to make for a good game. It's essentially just a normal week of business for NFL teams. And what I am looking forward to in this game at Detroit is for there to be enough Packers fans that when we are winning at the end, the Packers fans are the ones making the noise in the road stadium in a game against Detroit.
You're all about getting that retribution, right, Neil?
That's right.
What the NFL is about. So,
well, especially then on Thursday nights when the game's over, when they interview the players, then you get all the, if you get all the Packer fans would come down, that would be fantastic.
Coming out of that Detroit game too, interesting thing in the schedule, it is the only part of the schedule where the Packers have back-to-back road games. Now, being a Thursday night game, they'll get 10 days before they have to go play in Seattle in week 15 on December 15th. Now, that is also a 7:20 matchup. It'll be the third primetime game in a row, third of 4, actually. So primetime Sunday night in Seattle in December.
It's going to be raining.
Yeah, but it's Seattle, and it's going to be overall pleasant temperatures because it never gets that cold in Seattle.
After that, it brings Green Bay back home. Again, it'll be the 4th primetime game in a row here. And then in week 16, it is Monday, December 23rd. So Christmas Eve, if you will. Yep. Again, another interesting holiday week for the NFL. Packers Saints on Monday night.
It's all about the holidays in Green Bay. You can be home for Thanksgiving, visit the family, go to the Packer game. Same thing for Christmas, right? You're in Green Bay, you're all set. Christmas Eve, 7:15, December 23rd, St. Nick's, jolly old St. Nick's getting ready, and you be with the family, and let's go to the Monday night Packer game. And a huge advantage here, New Orleans is a dome team. The NFL has a little bit of a sense of humor, I suppose, and kind of an FU to New Orleans. Hey, let's put a dome team from the South. Let's make them play December 23rd in Green Bay. And this one's definitely outside. At night outside, right? So, kudos to the NFL. Well played. Thank you.
And Jeff, I very much appreciate the holiday components because, yes, I will make both of the Thanksgiving week games and the game on Christmas Eve. So I'm very appreciative of this year's schedule.
Yeah, Neil's going to be putting on a lot of miles this year, which is great. The other interesting thing about that, Jeff, too, it's the only December home game this year. There are 4 December weekends, and the Saints game is the only one at home. The following week, week 17, Sunday, December 29th, not New Year's Eve this year, Jeff, but it is just a regular Sunday noon game in Minneapolis. Packers, Vikings, post-Christmas, pre-New Year's. Just how great is that game going to be?
It worked out for us last year, to be fair.
It did, didn't it?
It really worked out well, yeah. Although, like you said, it's a road game. The team doesn't travel any more than 400 miles. It's still a road game, yes, but in terms of far, not really. Again, it worked out very well last year that when the Vikings were kind of on the ropes. And hopefully that'll be the case this year, and Green Bay can just further solidify a playoff position.
I mean, I think the big difference this year is that the Vikings don't have a lot of expectations with JJ McCarthy. This is about him just sort of establishing himself. So this is going to be a situation that very well could be dominated by Packers fans at the stadiums, as the Vikings fans have more or less given up on the season. So this could be a Packers celebration, or at least I hope it is, if the Packers season goes as we all hope it does.
So Jeff, should we make it a Vikings road trip this year into late December?
I mean, Neil's already going to be in Green Bay for Christmas, so
you were such an emphatic no last year. You get wishy-washy on me now? Come on.
Different circumstances, John.
Okay,
Different circumstances.
All right. You'll hang out for a noon game, but not a New Year's Eve night game. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
And then the season wraps up, interestingly enough, second year in a row with the Chicago Bears on the schedule to finish the season. It is to be determined. It'll be sometime that weekend of January 4th, 5th. If history repeats itself, probably a Sunday noon game as well. But again, interestingly, though, Packers Bears to finish the season.
And this maybe would be a flex primetime or national game. Hopefully not. Hopefully, again, the Bears
it's not going to be a flex, because we're going to be 16-0. We'll have clinched the first seed for the playoffs by this point. So there's going to be no interest in this game whatsoever.
And the Bears will have 4 wins ish. Maybe
well,
more.
we aren't picking that yet. We'll do that later on, but I get where you guys are going with this one. I kind of feel like, based on the way the schedule was last year and this year, maybe switching around the Bears and the Vikings in the last 2 games. I don't know. But it just is kind of interesting that we get Chicago last game of the year, 2 years in a row
at home,
and
this one as well.
And at home. Right. Yeah. Yep. And then this year, the way that they have now changed the schedule, or the way the Packer season ticket holder schedule works out, is that 9th home game becomes a gold package game as well, which is going to make it even more interesting when we talk about what happens with resale value and things. We'll worry about that when January rolls out.
Although I really believe that there are going to be a lot of green season ticket holders who are going to say, well, if this game matters, we're going to go to the game. I don't think it really is going to be any chance of Bears fans dominating the game, even if the game matters, because even if the tickets get sold, there's going to be a lot of demand among regular Packers fans for this game.
And again, overall, an interesting schedule, mostly back and forth, home and away. Only one time where we have back-to-back road games. Twice we have back-to-back home games. A lot of Sunday matchups. 4 primetime games in a row late in the season. We didn't mention it, but let's just take a peek at the preseason real quick. Neil, just divert your attention. I'll just throw these out there. It is Saturday, August 10th at Cleveland. Sunday, August 18th at Denver. And then Saturday, August 24th, the Baltimore Ravens come to Green Bay. Now, with that, Neil, Cleveland and Denver are both nice towns to visit. I think to go, if you want to get to a game and cheap, hey, go enjoy Cleveland and or Denver in August. But Baltimore coming to Green Bay at the end of that, it's a Saturday noon matchup. But then, like I said, they get the middle week. They get the next weekend off. Labor Day weekend is the following weekend, and then they go to Brazil. So the nice thing about that is they're home for that 3rd preseason game. After that, player cut downs and a lot of time to get ready to go to Brazil. I feel like they should probably get there early and get acclimated and go from there.
Well, you hope that, although the Packers didn't take that approach, for example, last year in Denver, where they showed up Saturday mid-afternoon. And I'm hoping that maybe we've learned a little bit that, yeah, let's be a little bit more prepared for things that are in different time zones or different elevations.
What is the elevation in Sao Paulo, Neil? It's close to the coast, so it can't be too
it's like 2,200 feet. It's nothing that's significant.
Okay. And Neil, of course, knows that off the top of his head because he's a super genius. That's why we keep him around. All right. With that said, it is time for the GBC podcast to announce where they will be going on the road. We have been to Cincinnati. We have been to Buffalo. We have been to Denver. We have been to some great Packer road games, some great tailgating towns. Here are the nominees. They are going to be Week 3 at Nashville, Week 5 at Los Angeles, Week 8 at Jacksonville, or Week 15 for the night game in Seattle. Jeff's already washed out the Vikings game, so those are our 4 choices. We're going to narrow it down from there. Drum roll, Jeff, on the microphone. There we go. And the answer is Week 3, Sunday, September 26th, Nashville, Tennessee.
Broadway. It's Broadway.
Beautiful town, right, Neil?
Grand Ole Opry and lots of fun on the country music bars all along Broadway. It's a town that I visited for the draft a number of years ago. It's a town that people love to visit. It's a place that just is a destination. It's sort of like Vegas, but not Vegas at some level, and that people just go there to have fun. And that sounds like a perfect destination for a Packers road trip.
I'm in. I'm
good because you're driving.
Exactly. That is a reasonably important key component of this. Yes, John. Really looking forward to this. I think this is going to be fun. I've never been to Nashville, so I think it's going to be exciting. You know, we're staying in the AFC as well, right? I mean, we're still we're hitting all the AFC teams at this point. But no, this works out very well. Timing wise, you know, third game of the season, the weather should be fantastic down there. You know, looking forward to another road game, right? And continuing the tradition, experiencing Nashville, and there's probably going to be a lot of Packer fans at this one.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. The chatter right now really seems to be that this is the game. Wisconsinites love Nashville, right? Because we like to drink, we like to party, and we like to have fun in a fun town. Like last year, Packer fans invaded Las Vegas. I would say they did a pretty good job of invading Denver as well, because Denver's a beautiful city too. Nashville is a great city. It is a drivable trip from Green Bay or, you know, any part of Wisconsin to get to Nashville. So who knows, Jeff, we might see some other Packer fans on the road on the way down or on the way back. We'll have to fight them for a hotel room or an Airbnb. We'll figure that out next. But we are looking forward to going to Nashville early time this year in week 3. We're not going to be doing an October road trip. The October game in Jacksonville, like Neil said, not really a lot of desire to go to North Florida.
No, but let's get going back to Nashville, right? Nashville, the other thing, of course, is that it's a great music town. And you know, whether you're talking about the Johnny Cash Museum and some of the history of the Grand Ole Opry and some of the other history of Nashville. But I think one of the things about Nashville that's great is that everyone in Nashville who is young and trying to establish themselves is trying to establish themselves in the music industry. So essentially every bar has got music bands playing, whether it's cover or whether it's original music, from essentially late afternoon until 2 a.m. You've got music playing every single place. And all of us are music lovers. And I think that just sort of enjoying the music, even though, John, there's gonna be a lot of country, it's not just country.
I will survive
there. So
they have both kinds. They have country and Western. Is that what...
and of course, you know, it's a party destination. So you know, we'll have this mix of Packers fans and bachelorette parties, because that's one of the things Nashville is also known for. I'm sure that you're going to focus on the football and the Packers and on the music when you tell your wives about this destination. But, you know, it's going to be a fun place to visit.
Well, and I think this will probably be an opportunity, you know, like the Packers everywhere and things like that. I'm sure there will be, you know, former players kind of come down and things like that as they do at a few of the road game venues. And I'm almost positive this is going to be one of those. Why wouldn't it? It's a perfect venue.
So we did the Wings tour when we went to Buffalo 2 years ago. What are we going to be touring and tasting when we go around Nashville?
I feel like it almost is going to have to be a music tour of some sorts, that we'll have to find some historical spots and find out what's going on the same weekend for that. I think music definitely, like you said, is going to be the key to that. And as you said, Nashville is not just country music. Another fact with that, Neil, the city of Appleton, where I live in Wisconsin, hosts the Mile of Music Festival every year in August. And over the 10 years of the Mile of Music Festival, a huge majority of the bands and artists have come from the Nashville area. There's been a great partnership between Appleton and Nashville as far as the music scene goes, thanks to Corey Chisel, who created the whole Mile of Music, and him, you know, kind of setting up operations in Nashville. So I've seen a lot of the local Nashville bands already. So I look forward to seeing what of those bands might be around and or available when the time comes.
Well, John, because if that's in August and you'll be down in Nashville in September, I mean, we'll
make some connections, right?
No kidding, right? I mean, they get to visit you get to visit them.
So we're looking forward to the 2024 NFL season. We'll be taking a little bit of time off during the summer, but up next is getting ready for training camp and the Packers 5K going on again. Neil, you got about 2.5 months to get in shape for that 5K run. Have you been working on it? Are you ready to go?
I've got the walking portion. I've got to get the running portion, but I've got my ability to grab you by the back of your shirt to make sure that you finish behind me again this year.
Okay, yes. As long as I don't have to carry you, we will be fine. Right, walking a 5K, not a problem. It's trying to put that into a jog or even a sprint is what will be the question. We'll see what happens when July rolls around. We'll talk about it then. Looking forward to training camp, getting the players in town, and Neil, you're looking forward to being a railbird again this year.
Absolutely. I had a really fun time going through the first couple days of training camp, the excitement of the beginning of the season. And really, that's what the schedule release is about, is that now we are at reality, right? It's just like, wow, we had this list of opponents and whatever, that doesn't matter. It's like, okay, we have a season now in front of us. We've got a plan. We've got to look at, okay, this is where we feel good about, this is where we don't feel good about, but this is this season. How the Packers do this year is determined by what came out today. It's by that list of opponents, and how we navigate those opponents is where the season is going. This is a great time of the year. The NFL has been brilliant as far as how they've marketed everything, and the schedule release is brilliant marketing because, yes, we are excited.
And we're talking about it.
And we're talking about football in mid-May, right? and I just want to give a quick note as well. So from Detroit, the draft has officially been handed off to Green Bay as well. So the countdown to the draft in Green Bay has started as well. So anybody that visits the atrium can see the draft countdown clock as well.
And I think the picture I saw today was 344 days. So where we are right now, just under 344 days to the start of the NFL draft in Green Bay. And you guys mentioned, we are talking about football in May, and this kind of just adds to my theory that the anticipation of the event, the lead up to the event, is as exciting or almost more exciting than the event itself, right? That's why we love the tailgate party, because the build up to the game is so great. Now we get the build up to the season and everything else that goes with it. We get to talk about it. We talk about the anticipation, and we are ready for the 2024 season. I think that's my final thought. Jeff, what is yours?
Again, the anticipation, the excitement, what's to come. I mean, we are a team on the rise, right? I mean, after the draft, after free agency, now we get to see a new defensive coach, which we all wanted desperately. So now we get to see how this whole thing comes together. All of this anticipation, this excitement, and you've taken all these disparate pieces, and now they're a schedule. And now, we get the summer off, we get the summer to enjoy, and to think and to hope and to travel. That's the other thing that I'm really looking forward to is another road game and an opportunity for a different city, meet different people, different fans. Again, we've never been down there, never been to the stadium. So kind of experiencing that, I think all of it is exciting. Looking forward to going to being in Green Bay this summer. We've talked about the Heritage Trail, kind of checking in on that. Overall excitement, anticipation, it's fantastic.
That's the beauty of May. There's no concern, there's no stress. It's just all happiness in the future.
All right. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit subscribe, leave a comment. Find the GBC podcast at Green Bay Chat. That's all one word. We are on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, as well as Facebook, where it's the GBC podcast Green Bay Chat. And may you fully appreciate the magnitude of your impending good fortune. Thanks for joining us.
Good night.
Good night.